chaos. Usually they will attribute to it being inauspicious. But truly, if you understand our culture, you saw the Kirtan that just went on now. Even if something were to burn now, of course, you have to run out of the house. But wherever there's Kirtan, anything else that happens after that is non consequential. Because wherever there's Kirtan and wherever there's chanting of the holy names, it is always very, very auspicious. And you saw them chanting, right? And you will find that the next generation who are coming up, the children, the teenagers, the young adults, you will find that with AI coming into the world now, education is also going to be non consequential, right? If you get a degree, you get a master's, you get PhD, it's all important. But you would probably have those outcomes if you key in some prompts into your chat GPTs, your Geminis, or whatnot. But this culture that these girls were singing, this AI cannot give you. This is culture that comes from many generations of scientific practice, right? So I think we should give them a round of applause before we start. Because it's very important that we actually preserve our culture, and it's so nice that I did not get the host name, the
Vikas Prabhu and Jyoti Mataji.
Vikas Prabhu and Jyoti Mataji. It's so nice, Prabhu and Mataji, that you have invited all of us over, and it's so nice that you have actually started with Kirtan. So today what we will do is we will spend a few minutes to speak on some practical points that comes up from our scripture, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam. Today the topic that we are going to speak on is the retaliative world. It may sound a little high flown, but it is a very basic concept that all of us are engaged in on a daily basis, right? When Friday night comes, how do we feel? Anyone feels miserable? Okay, so I assume you don't work on a Saturday, right? So you feel very happy. But when Sunday evening comes, you're still smiling. You're happy now, Saturday night, right? When Sunday evening comes, how do you feel?
Good.
Oh, very good. She feels happy. You work?
Sunday feast.
Sunday feast, okay, that's different. When Sunday evening comes, generally, how do you feel? You feel anxious, right? And then when Monday morning comes, I don't even have to say anything about it, right? And you will find that this is how we have been living our lives for many, many years. And some of us claim that we're actually very happy in life. But the moment Sunday evening comes, we become completely miserable. This goes to show that we are always on what you call survival mode, or what you call that we are always retaliating. If we are hungry, we eat. When we are sleepy, we sleep. Someone shouts at us, we shout back. Someone punches us, we punch back. Right? So the entire cycle of our living is very retaliative. And actually, the entity that is retaliative is actually the animal. Just imagine if you go into a lion's den, right? You take a stone and you don't like the lion, you hit the lion, right? How do you think the lion would react? Would the lion think that this person must have had a really, bad day, and that's why he hit me today? So because I know that, I'm not going to hurt him back. Will the lion say that?
No.
The lion is going to come right for us. But just imagine that happens to us. Someone lashes out at us, right? Do we think whether they are having a bad day, whether, they went through a lot at home or at work? Do we? Sometimes we don't think. And suddenly you will find that there's no difference between us and the lion. So, meaning to say, we are always in a very retaliative state. And Bhagavatam tells us why we always keep retaliating is because there is something known as bhaya in our heart. And it is described that there are 9 types of fear every human being goes through. Bhoge Rogabhayam Kule Chutibhayam Vitte Nirpaladbhayam Mane Dainyabhayam Kale Ripubhayam Rupe Jaraya Bhayam Shastre Vadibhayam Gune Kalabhayam Kaye Kritantadbhayam Sarvam Vastu Bhayanvitam Bhuvinanam Vairagyameva Bhayam. 9 types of fear. Bhoge Roga Bhayam. In enjoyment, there is fear of disease. Sometimes we think that we can enjoy, right? We work to enjoy, we build a family to enjoy, we go for holidays to enjoy, but you will find that our capacity to enjoy is actually very limited. If today you were to eat ice cream, for example, if I give you a scoop, you'll be very happy. If I give you 2 scoops, you'll be very happy. If I give you 3 scoops, it becomes subjective. If you really like ice cream, you'll be very happy. Then I give you a tub. If you survive on ice cream, you'll be very happy. But even if you survive on ice cream, I give you 2 tubs. Then you start thinking that this guy is crazy, right? How is it humanly possible to consume 2 tubs of ice cream? What started off as enjoyment ends in suffering. So, what does this show about us? Our body is actually not made to enjoy unlimitedly without restriction. It is not there. And most of the times we are diseased because we truly believe that we exist simply to enjoy. When we finish our year-end reviews, we have finished our projects. Usually, what we'll do is 2-3 months before we book a holiday, right? We book to wherever. I'm from Asia in Singapore, so we usually book to Europe or we're going to the United States, right, to have a nice time. And by the time you click the checkout button, if you're going with the family, minimally you are down by 10 to 15K, right? Singapore dollars. You're already down. And what we do is we start, anticipating that this day is going to come, work is going to end, and I'm going to go on a holiday. And we become very happy. But we have not gone for the holiday yet. Just remember this. The night before you leave, you become extremely happy. When you are at the airport, your joy knows no bounds. But please remember, you have not arrived at your destination. This is what is known as anticipating happiness. We're not happy, we are anticipating. And if you're traveling with your family, by the time you get on the plane with your children, your parents, your husband, your wife, you're already sweating, right? Getting all their luggages checked in, their passports checked in, and then you take a trip. Everyone arrives at, say, I travel to Switzerland. I arrive at Zurich, we check into the hotel, and everyone goes out to take pictures. You take a picture, you post it on Facebook. Your friend sees it. Amazing, right? But only you know how much you suffer to take that photo, gathering everyone, right? So holiday comes, you go, and then one day before the holiday ends, how do you feel in the hotel? How do you feel? Rejuvenated? You start feeling miserable. You're tired. Thank you for being honest, because that's usually how I feel after a holiday, right? You start feeling miserable again, and you sitting at Zurich airport, coming back to Singapore, you are very miserable. You come back to Singapore next day, you pack your bags, you go to office. $15,000 to feel miserable again. Now just think about that, right? Of course, if you have booked your tickets, please keep it. Don't cancel it now, right? Please, holidays still valid. Go for your holidays. But we have to start thinking a bit deeper. Because Bhagavatam tells us that when we pack our luggage, right, we also pack our enemy. We go for the holiday, right? We check him in, we bring him back also. And who's there? That's our mind. Our mind. Our mind was full of fear of Sunday nights, right? We took the same mind to a holiday. We didn't do anything for him. We only did it for our body. We ate as much as we could. We did the sightseeing, but we brought back the same contaminated mind. And that is why no matter how many holidays we take, we actually do not improve the fabric of our lives. We do not get rejuvenated. Bhoge roga bhayam. Kule chuti bhayam. There's also a fear. Maybe nowadays we don't feel it so much. But we have a fear in family prestige. If anyone is going to vilify our family reputation, right? Whether we will fail. There is also fear in wealth. If we have too much wealth, we fear taxes, right? Or we fear which relative is now going to come and borrow money from me, right? So many of you are smiling, right? So you must have had some experience. So in wealth also, there is actually fear. In prestige, if you have prestige, you have fear of humiliation, right? And in power, there is fear of enemy. If you're very powerful, you'll be fearful of your adversary. In beauty, Rupe Jaraya Bhayam, you are afraid of old age. You know, the entire cosmetic industry runs on this. And at least in Singapore, when you go to the shopping center, before you enter the shopping center, they will confuse you or they will convince you with the ads that you need to buy that cream. Because having a pimple on your face is the greatest crime. You cannot have a pimple. You have to get rid of it. If you have a paunch, size 0 is the order of the day. You at least minimally need six packs. Right? If you go further, you can have 8. So they convince you that you need to look in a certain way. And we get caught and we become fearful. And using our fear, exploiting it, the entire shopping center's first floor is cosmetics. You see? See, the men are smiling. We should not smile. Because at least where I come from, half of the first floor is now for men. Right? 10 years ago, it was not there. It's now there for us. Actually, I don't know what to buy. Right? So, through that fear, they force us to consume that which is not needed. Again, if you wear cosmetics, don't throw it away. Please continue. But what Bhagavatam tells us is that think a little deeper. Are we using these things because we are afraid? Someone we don't know is making us afraid of being ourselves. Just imagine some guy who never brought us up, who never sent us to school, who never took care of us, is telling us that we are not enough. If our parents tell us that we are not enough, right, it's sad, but at least you can feel something. But we are letting anyone walk into our life and tell us that we are not enough. And we are getting caught up with that propaganda. So Bhagavatam tells us that we should not feel. And even in scriptural erudition, let's say now I'm quoted a verse. So you must be impressed. Oh, he knows a verse. But you know what's my fear? That you will quote 2 verses. That someone else here will actually know more verses than me. That is my fear. So in every aspect of our life, we actually have fear. And you know where all this stems from? We are fearful that we will lose this body. That is the root of all fear. We are afraid that we are so attached to this body that this body will eventually leave us. And the only solution to this that is mentioned in this verse is Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment. And in Bhagavatam, you will find that detachment does not mean carelessness. Detachment means regulation. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta chetasya karmasu. What is that third line? Avabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So, Bhagavad Gita tells us that we feel fear because we do not have regulation in our life. We don't have to become totally detached and become Babaji, right? What it's telling us to do, we have to regulate 4 things. The first thing that we have to regulate is what we eat. This is very, very important. What we eat is what we become. And human beings should not put anything into their mouth without any form of discrimination. And it is not only the calories that you gain, it is also the type of food that we eat. Is it sattvic? Is it going to enrich our consciousness? Is it going to enrich or improve the quality of our life? So that is there. But I don't want to go too much into that because now we are very well informed about what we should eat. You pick up your bowl of salad, the calorie information is already there. Right? Last time we used to just peacefully eat the salad. Now you pick up the salad, you're stressed. This calorie is correct, this calorie is right. And there's so many videos saying that you should drink lots of water. Next video comes out, tells you shouldn't drink too much water. Right? Next video tells you should eat orange early in the morning. Next video tells you eating orange in the morning is poisonous. Then suddenly you start feeling, should I then not eat anything? So we are completely confused in this day and age on what to do. But we have enough information. But what we don't have enough information is about what else we consume. Consumption does not stop only with what we are putting into our mouth and what we are putting into our stomach. What we consume a lot of times is actually going through our ears and going through our eyes. What we see, what we hear, and what we speak must be regulated. If you want to improve the quality of your life, the only thing you have to change is the vibrations that you expose yourself into. That is the only thing that needs changing. If for 1 week, just 1 week, you try this experiment, you change the quality of the vibrations you hear. Meaning to say, don't hear gossip. Anyone calls you to gossip about third person, you put down the phone. Tell them, I'm still friends, but we'll talk 1 week later. Right? You just put down the phone. And we also don't engage in any form of blasphemy, criticism, and gossip. Because Krishna tells us, and he tells this to Arjuna in the middle of a war. Okay, he tells him in the middle of a war that Arjuna, if you want to lead a successful life, control what you speak and what you hear. And he tells him, he gives him 4 to 5 tips on how to control this. He says, Anutvega Karam Vakyam. First thing, he says, Arjuna, when you speak, do not speak in such a way that it agitates the mind of another person. This is very important. When we speak, we should not speak in a way that agitates others. Anutvega Karam Vakyam. Satyam. If we are going to speak, is it the truth? If it's not the truth, he says don't bother. If you're going to lie, you're going to hurt someone, don't speak. Satyam Priya. If it is the truth, don't just lash the truth out at someone. Is it going to be said in a loving way? Priya. Because sometimes when you know the truth, all you want to do is blast the person. You thought this was the truth? No, I know the truth. And I'm going to give it to you wholesale. But he says no. Restrain. Satyam Priya. If it's going to be loving, but last gate to check. Hitam. Is it beneficial to others? If it is not beneficial, Krishna says, just be silent. Because no one appreciates unsolicited advice. Do we? Someone just walks in and gives you some advice. Right? We get very irritated. Correct? Krishna already detected this 5,000 years ago. So these are the 4 gates. He says that how to regulate the vibrations that are in our house. And you will find that vibrations permeate every aspect of your home. You see this mat? If this mat was not clean, you all came in and Prabhu and Mataji had not cleaned this mat. When you are going to sit down, how would you feel? Very pleasing or so dirty, so nice? You won't feel that. You will feel agitated. But we are all so peaceful because they have kept this house like a temple. Right? It's so clean, the atmosphere is so nice, and we are all very peaceful because it is clean. But you must understand that matter, right? Everything that you see constitutes of five elements: air, water, fire. What else is there? Earth. The fifth element, ether. Usually we speak about the four because we can usually see it or we can feel it. But there is this element known as ether that cannot be seen. And most parts of not only this house, any house is made up of ether. And just as how this mat can get dirty, the ether can also get dirty. And you know what can dirty ether? Bad vibrations. And that is why many a time, sometimes when we go back to our own homes, we don't feel peaceful. We have the TV, we have a clean house, we have so many things, but we don't want to go back. You know, I remember about 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I started working, we have this district in Singapore called CBD, Central Business District. And you will have the offices, you will have the towers, and you will have cafeteria. That's all. So you work, you come down, you eat, and be happy with that. Fast forward 20 years later, you will find that more than restaurants, there are pubs that serve alcohol, right? And I see many of my friends, you know, after work, they are at the pub. So I don't mind. It's fine. I'm vegetarian. I don't drink, but that doesn't mean, you know, they are demons, right? They go, they have fun. But I asked them, why is it that you do that every day? I thought you were married, you had children. And you know what he told me? He said, I feel peaceful in the pub. When I go back home, I feel very stressed. Just imagine, home. When you remember or think about the word home, what do you feel? You feel safe, you feel secure, you feel rested. But when the vibrations in the house are not correct, you cannot feel peaceful. You cannot. Many relationships, many houses have become broken not because of wrong people. It is because the right people have spoken the wrong words. You'll always find this. And especially when people are close, when they speak the wrong vibration, it hurts even more. And sometimes when we are frustrated, when we are angry, we lash out, the vibration comes out. Next day, we forget the vibration. But the ether never forgets the vibration. Elements also have memory. Now we have found scientifically that water has memory, right? So every element has its own memory. Bhagavatam is very clear about this. They are all living entities. So never forget, you can clean your mat, but how much more we should be cleaning the ether in our home. And how do we clean the ether in our home? If you don't do anything, we should stop the negative vibration. When two persons come together, we should stop the habit of speaking about the third person. And especially when children are at home, the negative vibrations must be limited. We cannot be idealistic. When two adults are at home, there are challenges in a house. And there will be some to and fro. There may be some quarrel. But as much as the adults can, they must see to it that the younger generation, they are not exposed to unrestricted negative vibrations. Because their minds, it's like sponge. They are actually absorbing all this vibration. And if, let's say, that is difficult, what we should do in our homes on a daily basis is what happened just now. You saw them doing kirtan, right? 5-10 minutes every day. We should clean our homes, not just with chemicals, but we should clean our homes with this vibration. Because what this does, it purges the atmosphere. It purges the ether of all the dirt and all the bad memories that are there. And you will find in a week's time, if we stop the gossip and if we increase the chanting of this mantra, we become very happy. And then what happens is that from a material atmosphere, we create a spiritual atmosphere at home. Spiritual atmosphere is not that you have to go to some place and then you are in the spiritual world. In Bhagavatam, the spiritual situation is explained. And I will conclude with this by giving you this five. The first test or the first characteristic that you are in spiritual atmosphere. It is mentioned that in the spiritual world, there are denizens of the spiritual world. And what they do is that they travel. Vaimanika Salalana Charitani Shashvat. And what do they do? Gayanti Yatra Shamala Shapanani Bhartuhu. They are traveling on an airplane, right? And they are singing the glories of Krishna. And what happens is, in the midst, they get the smell of the Madhvi flower. When that smell comes, you know what they feel? Just imagine now you are hearing this talk, and then you start smelling pizza, right? Hot, nice cheese pizza. How would you feel? You would welcome it. So nice, so boring the talk. At least the pizza is giving me some relief, right? Usually, even I would do that, right? And I would cut my talk short. But in the spiritual world, it's reversed. They actually do not like that smell because it is distracting them from Krishna. This is reversed. Whatever we have in the material world, in spiritual world, it is reversed. So meaning to say, in a home, if we put our welfare first, that is material situation. But if we put the welfare of others first, then that becomes spiritual. This is very important. If we are only distracted by how we are going to feel comfortable, we spread materialism in our house. But if we are in a mood of not getting distracted from what needs to be done by something that is attracting us, that is spiritual atmosphere. Next characteristic. There are flowers in the spiritual world. And there is also a plant known as Tulsi. And there is Champaka flower, there's the Madhvi flower, there's Parijata flower. All these flowers, very nice to smell, and they look very beautiful. And then there's Tulsi. Tulsi, not so fashionable, right? Just leaf, you know. Those who are devotees will appreciate Tulsi, but common men will not appreciate Tulsi, right? Not so beautiful. But in the spiritual world, all the flowers respect Tulsi and they push Tulsi towards Krishna. They say that we may look nice, but Krishna only likes you. So rather than giving myself importance, I want to do what Krishna wants. Do you see the frame? This kind of thought process is unheard of. But if you really live like that in your home really becomes Vaikuntha. Meaning to say, you are always looking at the good of others. You are appreciating the success of another person. You know, a spiritualist is a person who takes joy when other people become successful. But a materialist becomes completely morose if anyone else is successful. You will find in material world one thing, right? People will come and even help you, right? You should be successful based on their help. But your success should not become greater than them. You see the point? They will help you. You must succeed because they are helping you. But you should not become more successful than them. That is material world. Spiritual world is that I will help you, I will serve you, and you must become better than me. Isn't this what our mothers felt for us? Isn't this what our fathers feel for us? The father, no matter how much ego he has, male ego is very big. But when it comes to child, the father will always feel, my child must become better than me. Right? All fathers, we feel that. My child must become better than me. But in spiritual world, it's not only the father or mother who feels that. Everyone feels that for others. That you are better than me, you should do better than me. This is Vaikuntha atmosphere. And the next characteristic that is given is the birds. Paravatanya Vritasarasa Chakravaka Datyuva Hamsa Shuka Tittiri Barhi Namya Kola Halo Viramate Chiramatra Muche Bringadipe Harikata Ivagaya Mani. All the birds, the cuckoo birds, the peacocks, they sing very nice. They look very nice. And they like to sing. But when the bees, kola, halo, viramate, chiramatra, buche, when they start buzzing, all these birds, they keep quiet. Do you feel that bees buzzing is very sweet? Really?
No.
Okay, no, right? You run when bees buzz, right? It's very irritating sound. But in spiritual world, all these sweet singing birds, they keep quiet when the bees are buzzing. Why? Because the bees are chanting the names of Krishna. And in our scripture, it is written that in spiritual world, speaking is not prominent. Hearing is prominent. But in material world, you will find even a donkey wants to hear itself. Even if we can't sing properly, we still want to say something. I should be heard. And when people speak to us, we don't hear them. We are already bursting out with our reply. What is there for you to say? My reply is coming. You see? So when we speak to others, are we aware of what they are saying? Are we aware of what they are speaking? Or do we immediately want to give a reply? And the last characteristic of the spiritual world is that in the spiritual world, it is full of Lakshmis. There are thousands and millions of Lakshmis. Lakshmi means one who provides opulence to others. But do you know what the Lakshmis do in the spiritual world? Their favorite activity is to sweep the floor of Vaikuntha. And Vaikuntha is made of, the floors are made of Chintamani. And you will find that the Chintamani stone, which is not found in this world, cannot have dirt. So now you must be thinking, Lakshmi is crazy, right? No dirt, floor is there, but they keep sweeping it. Why? Because when Krishna comes out and when he sees that someone have given up their designation of pride and they are taking a very humble stand, Krishna becomes very pleased. This is a very important point. In our homes, are we still wearing hats of designation? When we meet someone, what do we ask them? How are you? Right? Minimal. What's the next question?
What do you do?
Exactly. Maji, louder.
What do you do?
What do you do? I'm standing here. No, no, not that. What do you do? Right? And then they will say, I'm from this university. I'm working in Google. Right? By the time your mind is already in Glassdoor, analyzing what is the annual package, what is his salary, what is his position. After you size all that up, then you start thinking, how should I relate to this person? Just imagine, right? In 5-10 seconds, you are now deciding how you will relate to this person. It is a very abominable condition, the way we live. Nowadays, it's a warning. Our governments are giving us, no matter who you are, in 5 seconds your position will change. You don't know whether your access card is going to work tomorrow morning. Bless all of you, it should work, right? But our position can flip immediately. It is so precarious. So whenever we meet someone, never ever ask them, what are you doing? Ask them, it's okay. But don't size them up based on their reply. Krishna never does that. In spiritual world, Krishna's best friends are actually the monkeys. When he was Damodar, he used to steal butter. He never ever used to eat it alone. He always used to distribute it to the monkeys first. Because except for human beings, no one considers designation. Animals don't, God surely doesn't. It is only the humans who consider designations to be very, very important. And what happens is that is brought into our homes. Right? You'll find sometimes if the wife earns more, husband gets a bit upset. Right? Usually wives don't get upset. I don't know why. Right? But the husband gets upset. Why? I'm not sure. Designation. When our children don't get the best schools, we get very frustrated. Why? Is it for their betterment? Or is it because the lady whose child goes to the best school is now going to tell us that you spoke so much, look at where your child is? Even though they don't say it, you will imagine them saying it every time they walk past. Right? Designation. So everything becomes based on that. And our relationships become transactional. So do you see now that how we are actually stuck in a very retaliative phase of living? If you were to ask me if we can fix this overnight, I would say no, you cannot. Because the frameworks, the systems that have been built in modern world have become like that. But what you can do is to introduce certain practices at home that will actually give you a, a very fresh viewpoint of how to live life. And gradually we can come out of this. In our lifetime, the adults I'm saying, you may not come out of it. But if you start now, your children will come out of it. And their children will actually benefit. And Bhagavatam, our scriptures, our acharyas are begging us. They are saying, please, 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 come out of this vicious cycle. Because at least the next generation, they should be happy with who they are. Someone else should not dictate what is enough for them. They should live in a world where their positions of who they are as people should actually be respected. And all this will happen, Prabhus and Matajis, if we change the quality of our vibrations. That is why the Kirtan that you have heard today, I will request all of you, right? You have been exposed to these programs. These programs, when they happen all the time, we tend to take them for granted. Also in our scripture it is mentioned, right? When you become too familiar with something, you tend to, familiarity breeds contempt. Gangam hitva yatan yambas tatratyo yati shuddhaye. It's a very graphic example. The example is given that if let's say you're living somewhere in India and Ganges is flowing just outside your door. Every day you see Ganges. Ganges is Ganges. But because you see it every day, you lose faith in Ganges. Because, when I come out, someone is beating their clothes, soap is flowing. So then you'll book a flight ticket, you'll go to Haridwar, and you will plunge in that same Ganges. And you know what you will see when you get there? Someone beating their clothes, and the soap is flowing. So whatever is close to us, we become very familiar with it. And because it is very simple. See, they were chanting, right? Did they ask for any money? No. It's free. You can chant, you cannot chant. But because it is so simple, we tend not to accept it. If you pay $1,000 in the gym, you would go, right? Because you have paid something. Because we made it complicated. You can also go out and just run. Or you can do some simple exercises, right? When something is complicated, we accept it. When something is simple, we tend not to. So our only humble request is take to this very simple process. This chanting that went on today, please carry it with you and please bring it into your own homes. And these programs that are happening, if it happens a week once, Prabhu, right? Every Wednesday evenings, right? In 1 week, how many hours are there? Someone do the math? No, in 1 week, how many hours are there? 168, right? And how long are these programs? If 2 hours we cannot give for our own well-being, we cannot give for the well-being of our children, then we have to reprioritize our lives. This is not about forming groups. This is not about making the group bigger. This is actually about improving the fabric of our very living. And it is about improving the fabric of our behavior. So thank you very much, Prabhu's Matajis, for very patiently hearing. Hare Krishna. Any comments? Any questions? Do we usually have or we usually don't have? Okay, we have, okay. Anyone? Don't feel shy.
You were saying that word ita. I couldn't get.
Sorry, what's that, Prabhu?
Ether.
Ether.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ether is actually an element. right? Even if you take our science textbooks or anything like that, you would actually find that this ether, you can't really see it, but it actually packs space. Actually, Nilambar Prabhu probably can explain it much better than me. But it is an element that actually exists, but we are not able to see, like wind, right? Space, air, we're not able to see them. But just because we can't see them doesn't mean they don't exist actually, right? Each element can actually produce the next form. So there is a detailed study, and Nilambar Prabhu can actually take an entire session on it. It's a good question, Prabhu. It's a very good question. Because we don't get deep into this kind of scientific explanations. You will find our culture is very scientific. Very scientific. And I'm glad you picked that point up. If you want, a session can be conducted. And we should understand our culture is scientific. It's not enough to tell people I go to the temple, I see gods, I'm doing some arti, and when they make fun of us, we just put our heads down. But we should be in a position now to scientifically explain to them why this is happening. And it's not that we are trying to be proponents of Hinduism. No. Our culture does not want anyone to become Hindus. It's open for everyone. And that's why his question is very valid. This science has to be explained. And the next generation has to take to it, not to protect. This culture doesn't need protection from anyone, but it needs to enable others to improve their lives. And to that extent, we should actually give this to them. Thank you for that question, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, Mansi.
Chanting Nam Japa or listening Nam Japa, both have same significance, or we should do chanting same? Okay.
Same. Yeah. But one thing, don't listen from electronic box.
Like not from Alexa, not from TV.
I leave it to you, but I'm not a fan of it. If you want to chant,
Yeah.
you chant. Or you hear someone living chanting.
Okay.
Because these vibrations are best consumed when it is transferred from life force to life force.
Okay.
Because it's a very dynamic thing. So you can put your CD, your MP3s
Yeah.
on a daily basis, because you may not be able to come to satsangs like this.
Yeah.
But you should chant.
Okay.
This kirtan has got nothing to do with quality of voice.
Okay.
Coincidentally, they can sing well.
Yeah.
That's all, right? It is not that they chant only because they're good singers. Even if they were not, their mother would still force them to chant, right, Madji? Right?
So we can chant with the sync of TV, so we can hear music.
Oh, you're very smart, huh? You know the chant.
Yeah.
You don't need to follow the TV. You chant. Whatever tune you want. If you want some, learn some tunes, touch whatever is required.
Okay.
But the problem with us is we will leave the chanting and we'll go to the TV. That's why I don't recommend that. Learn some tunes, simple tunes.
But Prabhuji, like you, who's chanting in the TV, if I chant with them, like there are
That's
so
okay.
many. That's
As long as you are chanting, it is fine. But best if you come to programs like this. See, she's chanting.
Yeah.
She is a living force.
Okay.
So her life force chants and it gets permeated throughout the room. The energy, the vibe, the purification that you will feel, I'm saying you will not get it from the TV as much. But if you see the TV and you chant, then there is benefit.
Okay.
All I'm saying is do not get distracted by electronics. Don't leave the chanting box chanting and you don't chant. And become happy that someone is chanting at least. Right? We must chant. That is very, very important. And more importantly, come for programs like this. Because all of you are like-minded now. Right? And those who are trained in chanting, they are chanting. So when you chant with them, the quality of your chanting will eventually improve.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is to come for programs like this. You get your own energy and take home that vibration. Now tomorrow morning, I know you'll be chanting. The TV will be on, I know, but
Yeah.
you will be chanting.
I keep chanting here and there.
Very good.
But not regularly basis. But I keep TV on every day, like half an hour, so that the chanting, the sound actually surrounding in the house. So we just get the good vibes from the chanting.
Okay, so now you know
I know.
that the only good vibration that will come from in
Come
the
from
house
inside.
is only you,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Or whoever is in the house.
Yeah.
The TV can. It's a guidance, it's a reference. That's all there is to it. But you have to chant. And you will come here on Wednesday to hear the chanting.
I have a small kid that is the
Very
chant
good.
cheer.
Yes.
So actually, I have to put him sleep.
Don't
and
worry.
Stuff
Don't
like
worry.
that. So yeah,
Don't worry.
I try to come on the weekends, but
Yes.
weekdays bit tricky for me.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Whenever you can,
Yeah.
just try to come, Mataji.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because it is really, really good for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your honesty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna is related to Mataji's question. And what about Srila Prabhupada's chanting just here? Because I know lots of devotees, they just put the Srila Prabhupada's chanting 24 hours per 7 in their homes, and it's always there. So, and they just do other things. It's not that they also chanting, they also do. And you said not to use electronic, but we're not always able to associate with pure devotees, with my Guru Maharaj, for example. So, of course, I use these gadgets for this.
So that's a good point. If you are chanting, then to complement that, that's fine. But if we are not chanting
At all.
at all, then that cannot and should not be used as a replacement. Because then that becomes a convenient excuse. Prabhupada has chanted enough. It is now time for us to chant. Yeah, we have to be real about this. We have a connection with God. God wants to see what we are doing about it. If we keep hiding behind other people's bags, so that our life becomes, God becomes a convenience store, then you will reap the benefits accordingly. You see, He wants to see what we are putting forward. What is the value that we are bringing? So you're absolutely right, Mataji. Let the chanting continue, but we must chant. That is the main point. Hare Krishna.
It is like eating the ice cream yourself instead of watching the food blogger.
Prabhu, please take your seat beside me. Excellent. What's your name, Prabhu?
Rishi.
Rishi. Excellent. That's it, Mataji. He's got the essence. Prabhu, you should train him. Very good, Prabhu. I really like that. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, Mataji.
There is group chanting and also personal, how we are doing japa.
Very important. So Mataji is asking, what is important? Group chanting or japa? If you were to ask me, give priority to group chanting first. It's very important. That means programs like this is first priority. But when you go back home, you cannot take them with you. So you have to chant. You see, it's a very practical thing. The chanting has to always go on. If they are willing to come with you, please. But because they can't, then you have to become self-sufficient. In spiritual life or material life, try to become self-sufficient as quickly as you can. That saves you a lot from obligations. But these programs, we should be obliged to. We should come. So the answer is, Mataji, group chanting, first priority. At least at our level. That is first priority. And when we go home, when we get time, we do the chanting. Is that okay? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, in your lecture, you talked about the spiritual world. So, where does it exist?
Oh, very nice. So, as I said, it exists in our lives. You see the characteristics that I spoke about? If we are able to bring those behaviors into our homes become the spiritual world. This concept that we are waiting to go somewhere, it can be there, right? We're not impersonal. There are planets, there are spaces that we don't know about. But what we are requesting is that don't wait until you get to a certain place. Spiritual life and spiritual world can be created now and here. And all we have to do is simply to change mindset, and we have to change our behaviors. It's a very, very good question, Prabhu, because it is a great misconception that we have to wait. Of course, there is a spiritual world, right? There is. We cannot disqualify that. But we don't have to wait. We create it now, and it is in our hands. And that is why we have satsangs like this. We're trying to remind each other that such atmospheres can actually be created in a very self-sufficient, in a very sustainable way. Is that all right, Prabhu? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Maybe you can lead a small kirtan.
Sure,
If you don't
Prabhu.
mind.
Oh, this Kirtan is here. What am I going to lead? Sure, Prabhu. Sure,
Krishna.
sure.
Yes, yes.
His Grace
You want to play
Madanmohan
harmonium,
Prabhu
Prabhu?
ki jai.
Okay.